1 year later, just 4 in 10 Republicans recall the attack on the U.S. Capitol by Trump supporters as very violent or extremely violent, according to a new poll done by the Associated Press and the National Opinion Research Center. Capitol police officers and other law enforcement were beaten with all kinds of objects by those who stormed the Capitol, but perception very different. And a year on, those perceptions are shaping our politics. For that, we turn to our analysts on both sides of the aisle, Republican Tab Berg and Democrat Ed Emerson. Gentlemen, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Biggest way this event has changed our political discourse in this country. Tab, let's start with you.
Well, I think you're finding a little bit of the Rashomon effect here, where people are seeing the same event from very different angles. And one of the things, I have not heard a single elected Republican try to defend what happened there, but there's a perception of trying to utilize this to drive a partisan message, which I think actually just furthers the division.
Ed?
I agree with Tab. I think the key right now is to go forward from here. What can we learn from this? I think the biggest thing that the most important lesson is that Donald Trump was responsible for this. The Republican Party has a decision to make whether or not they're going to go with the Constitution and support constitutional law and the right to a peaceful transfer of power, or they're going to kick Donald Trump out of the Republican Party. And I think that needs to happen.
All righty. I feel like the lawmakers who proposed investigating this riot at the Capitol felt that the search for truth would, of course, be most important, but that searching for truth would yield some political benefit. And it really hasn't played out like that, has it? The January 6th Commission has been stymied frequently in their pursuits. They're promising a more public report closer to the midterm elections. Will leading the charge with this investigation hurt Democrats, Ed, however right it may be to look at these issues?
Well, the thing is that people are only listening to one side or the other. You either watch MSNBC and CNN or you watch Fox. I mean, the ability to gather news from different news sources. I subscribe to 5 or 6 newspapers. I try to look at NPR every day. I try to look at AP. I try to look at the big news outlets as well. And the thing is, you have to inform yourself, and that's not what's happening. I think the committee is going to issue a report at some point. I think we know what the report's going to say. That's Washington, D.C. That's politics, and that's the way this is going to happen. This has got to be a transformation of people across the country. People have to understand that they're responsible for this democracy, and they have to step up and take a role in making sure that the truth comes out, making sure that good people are voted for. You go out and campaign on a campaign. And thirdly, that this country is the greatest country on earth, and we have our warts and we have our different things, but it can always be fixed with what's good about America.
All righty. And Tab, do you think the Democrats are going to be hurt in upcoming elections because of this push to investigate what happened a year ago?
Well, the political commission was partisan from the start. I mean, they did not allow Republicans to choose their own members and participation. What we should be doing is leaving the investigation to the professionals. The Department of Justice is doing an investigation, and it will determine guilt or innocence based upon a objective standard, not a political standard. So I don't think it's necessarily going to hurt the Democrats because it's basically an appeal to their base, but it's not going to help them win middle of the road voters, because I think even a casual observation of this commission or this committee is that it's a very partisan committee with no real goal of finding the truth, only of pushing a political agenda.
And gentlemen, before we run out of time, there's been very little pushback about anything Trump from current Republican lawmakers, but several did speak out saying it would not be a good idea for this country's former commander-in-chief to hold the press conference he was planning to hold today on this anniversary of the January 6th riots. He didn't credit them, but he did decide not to do it, blaming instead the January 6th Commission's, quote, bias and dishonesty, and saying he will hold his comments for a January 15th event in Arizona. Tab, was that the right thing to do?
Yeah, I mean, holding some kind of defense of what happened on the 6th is just irrational. I mean, what happened is absolutely inexcusable. And there's already almost 800 prosecutions going on that are punishing the people who did the wrong things. So I think what we need to focus on is making sure that we do hold people accountable for the things that they actually did. and that we find a way to start bringing people together, unlike what unfortunately the president's message this morning was, which was incredibly divisive. And comparing what happened on January 6th to 9/11 is I think grotesquely inappropriate and disrespectful to the thousands of people who died and the hundreds of police officers and firefighters who rushed into fire in order to save people on 9/11.
Alrighty, Ed, we want you to comment quickly for us about the divisiveness or not of the president's speech this morning and whether or not it was right for President Trump to push off his comments that were slated for today.
I disagree with Todd on this one. I'm reminded of Henry II, who said, "Will no one rid me of these meddlesome priests?" Donald Trump, as Henry II, walked out and said, "Hey, let's go take over the Capitol. I'll lead the march. We're going to go right down the street." And I think that's what Joe Biden did today. I mean, he's taken a year of not pointing the finger, of not using his name. But today was the day to say, a year ago today, you started this, Donald. And you need to step aside or step down or whatever the case might be. You need to get out of American politics and go on your merry way somewhere else.
All righty, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this morning to provide your insight. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.